Video games are bad for you? That's what they said about rock and roll. Shigeru Miyamoto. Hey everybody. I just wanted to touch base and talk about why I play video games and why I've chosen to include them on my video channels. Really, the number one reason is that they're ridiculously fun. I really have a lot of fun playing video games. I like being able to overcome challenges and to be able to overcome the game's obstacles in very nonlinear and creative ways where possible. Now, I understand that there's a lot of people out there who talk about the difference between whether or not a video game is a hobby or an addiction. And for many people, a video game is a hobby. It only rises to the level of addiction when you choose the video game over your personal responsibilities. For example, if you would rather play a video game than actually work for a living to earn your keep and pay your bills, it's probably an addiction. If it's preventing you from getting up on time, if it's preventing you from showering or, exercising good personal hygiene, yeah, it's probably an addiction. But in most instances, video gaming is a hobby. The reason it's been reframed as an addiction is because women are jealous because of their need to be the center of attention. And so anything that takes away from them being the center of attention is an issue, which is why you see a lot of women won't date a single father, because they know that dating a single father, that father's going to be focusing on his children and she's going to come in second. So she's like, you know what? If I'm not the center of attention, I'm not going to date them. One of the reasons that I like video games is that they exercise my mind. They keep my mental acuity high. And solving puzzles has been shown to exercise your mind in such a way that it even will prevent onset of dementia and will improve memory. So as I get older, being able to have an active mind is extremely important to me for quality of life. And of course, I want to be able to remember my children and my family and things like that. One of the other reasons that I appreciate video games is that you succeed or fail based on your merit, not the color of your skin, not the social justice warrior group you belong to, not the part of the country that you live in, but based on your merit. Now, obviously, if you're playing online and you have a shitty internet connection, well, you might lose because of a poor internet connection, but it won't be because of any kind of social justice related BS that everybody's been talking about over the last couple decades. In addition to that, video games tell stories that provide social commentary that is often banned elsewhere, things that we can't even talk about. I mean, for example, look at Ghost Recon Wildlands, the game that I'm currently playing and have been uploading videos to YouTube. This is a great game, but it talks about how drug cartels turn a country into a narco state and how you have to go into the narco state to stop the drug cartels. And not only does this protect American citizens, but it protects citizens worldwide, at least as far as the story is concerned. It's a great game. And it gives you a realistic villain based on a lot of real world data. Given the immigration crisis and the issues that we're seeing with MS-13, and now I've recently read some information that I guess from Breitbart that says that there are Bangladeshi terrorists that are trying to cross the southern border. I mean, this is a huge issue, and it's an issue that doesn't appear to be going away anytime soon. But in addition to that, when people talk about video games, they just look at them as though they're their own entity. And in a way they are. But when I look at a video game, I compare it versus a movie. So, you go to the movie theater, and in Washington, a movie, to go to an average movie, is going to cost you $12 to $20. And that depends on whether or not you're going to go see it in IMAX or whether or not you're going to see it in the standard theater. And sometimes it can cost more than $20 depending on the type of showing you're going to see. So I like to call that cost per hour. But for purposes of video games, 2 hours should cost $12. Now, let me take a look at Wildlands, for example. I paid full price for Wildlands when it came out, and I played the shit out of it. I paid just over $60 for it. And on top of that, I think I've probably spent in expansion packs and everything else probably another $60 to $80 on top of it. So I've invested, I would say fairly, I've probably invested somewhere between $120 and $150 into Wildlands since the game has come out 2 years ago. However, in co-op games, that $150 has entertained me for over 300 hours. In solo play, at least another 100 hours. So I've gotten my money back. It's a great return on investment because I get entertainment value out of it at a very, very low cost. And the nice thing about video games versus movies is that it requires active participation instead of passive participation. So you sit and you watch a movie, you just sit and stare at a screen with your thumb up your ass and you're probably shoveling food into your face. But with a video game, you have to focus on what it is you're doing. You have to participate. You have to pay attention to the screen. You have to listen to some of the flavor text in the story to give you some hints as to what to do. Don't get me wrong. There are people out there who all they do is watch videos and how-tos on how to play a video game, and then they just kind of cut to the chase and skip all the flavor text. But a game like Wildlands, for example, the story writing is awesome. Star Wars The Old Republic video game, as an MMO, the game failed. But the single-player story campaigns were amazing, and they were fantastic Star Wars stories, at least the Sith ones that I played. And I played the ones for the Marauder, and I played the one for the Juggernaut, which were very similar. But they were great stories. I mean, with lots of plot twists and, just different elements of storytelling that were absolutely fantastic. So some of these games tell a really good story. I mean, Skyrim, for example, was another great game that had a pretty good story. Having a well-executed story along with compelling gameplay, for me, is awesome. And so I would rather actively participate in my entertainment than be passive and kind of watch it. Now, you may not be that way. And I'm not saying that that's the case all the time. But most of the time, I'd rather play a video game than watch a movie. The other thing is that video games are one of society's last bastions of positive masculinity. Now, it's still been under attack since Gamergate, but it does keep gynocentric influence at bay in that when you're paying attention to the video game, you're not paying attention to that thought who's trying to rub her tits in your face to separate you from your wallet. So you don't have to worry about that. And again, compared to dating, video games are way less expensive than trying to go chase a woman for maybe the possibility of sex if she's in the mood and not on her period or whatever. Whereas a video game, you do what you need to do, you get rewarded for it no matter what. The other thing about video games is that they keep mental response times low, which also helps in other aspects of life, like, say, driving a car or any skill that requires any kind of reflexes or hand-eye coordination. Because honestly, you could be in great shape, but if your mental response time is low, you're not going to be as fast as you could be. And so having a low mental response time because you've been playing 3D shooters or any game that requires really fast reflexes or reaction time is always good to kind of complement that. And as far as that's concerned, it's actually kind of funny because role-playing is used in almost every corporate or training environment in the first world. Video games are just another type of role-playing. I know that, for example, Microsoft Flight Simulator, they came out with a version for modern aircraft, for modern fighter aircraft. And there was a guy who was a valedictorian who graduated from the Navy's Top Gun school. And they asked him in his, they said, look, can you give a speech and tell us how is it that you succeeded beyond where everybody else was? And he said it in his speech. He said, part of the reason I was so successful was that I grabbed Microsoft Flight Simulator for the planes we'd be flying, and I played it for 50 hours before I ever went to the school. Well, the Navy found out about that. They took those games off the shelf, and they purchased a contract from Microsoft to develop their games to give people more flight simulation time. So video games do have real-world consequences. And what's interesting is that now that we have drones, they're using video gamers to fly drones. So for people to say that there's no real world application for video games, well, I hate to break it to you, but you're wrong. The other thing about video games is that they're a good way to keep in contact with friends who are far away and to make friends who you may not have met otherwise. I think that's huge because if you're in an environment where you don't have people around you who have common interests, This gives you a way to socialize. And I think that's important because humans are social animals. And if we don't have any kind of social interaction at all, we as humans die. So, and again, they've done studies on this too. I don't have the studies on hand. I do remember looking at them though, as far as socialization and as far as mental acuity is concerned. So when it comes to video games, I try to play video games, at least for myself. I find video games fun that basically reinforce self-reliance, accountability, and of course, I like a little bit of spectacle violence as well. I mean, there's some entertainment value of reaching out to somebody with a sniper rifle and shooting them in the head. Honestly, that's therapeutic to me. Or grabbing a guy from behind and taking him down. Or, for example, like some of the Mad Max gaming that I've done, where you beat them and you see the blood fly out of their mouth because the graphics are just that good. So that's why I play video games. And I wanted people to understand that. I am going to be including some video game content in this channel because I want to share with people some of the games that I play and let people know that there are some options out there. Now, I don't ride the hype train, so I'm not always going to play the newest and the latest and the greatest video games that are out there. However, a lot of the games that I do play are very highly rated, they're very well executed, and they're a lot of fun. And frankly, most people don't have the latest and greatest high-end computers. So playing a game that runs on a mid-range machine, or if you don't have time to spend 10 hours a day learning how to play a video game, the games I play are very casual gamer friendly. So this may give you some options if you're a man going your own way to really have some form of entertainment that you don't need to invest a lot of time or money in. But you can spend an hour or two here and there and it'll be a lot easier on your pocketbook. So I kind of hope that clears things up because I've had some people ask me questions about why am I playing video games or why are there video games included on your channel and this and that sort of thing. And it's very clear that they don't understand that a person can play video games and still do other things. Like I can still go to the gym. I can still exercise and work out. I can still go hiking. I can still go out and socialize with my friends. And it's not really a problem. But in addition to that, I'm going to be focusing a lot more time also on video gaming with the people who are part of my Discord server, my Patreon subscribers, as well as people that I'm friends with whom I've met online. Look forward to some more video game footage. So if you have a suggestion of a video game you'd like me to check out, let me know.